This will be for the con exercise, remainder theorem, and factors. All right, it says find the value of c so that x plus 1 is a factor of the polynomial p of x. And here they give you the polynomial p of x. So I'll give you some notes real quick. What is a factor, or what does that mean? If something is a factor, that means the number divides evenly. Okay, it divides evenly and it has no remainder. All right, in other words, the remainder equals 0. So, just as a simple example, why is 3 a factor of 9? Well, that's because when you do 9 divided by 3, you just get 3 with no remainder. Okay? Is 2 a factor of 9? No, because 9 divided by 2 will give you a remainder. Okay, that would be 4 remainder 1. So 2 is not a factor of 9, but 3 is a factor of 9 because it has no remainder. So the same holds true for this problem. Now, I highly recommend you do the exercise titled Remainder Theorem first. We went over this last time. When you take this polynomial and divide it by x plus 1, if you want to find the remainder, you have to change the sign and plug in that number. So you want to plug in x equals -1. Okay, and we said if something is a factor, the remainder is 0. So when you plug in x equals -1, you should get 0. So that's what we're going to do to this polynomial. Okay, we're just going to plug in -1 wherever you see an x and set it equal to 0. So let's do that. All right, so we're plugging in -1, so p of x becomes p of -1. So we're going to plug in -1 wherever we see an x, so that's going to be 5 times -1 to the 4th. Plus 7 times -1 to the 3rd. All right, use your parentheses for all the negative ones. Minus 2 times -1 squared. Minus 3 times -1. Plus c. Okay, so when we do that, we should get the remainder, which equals 0. All right, I don't have enough room to put equals 0, but I'm going to simplify this anyhow. So -1 to the 4th, if you multiply -1 4 times, you're going to get +1. 5 times +1 is 5. Okay, and 7, -1 multiplied 3 times is -1 times 7. That's going to be -7. -1 squared is +1 times -2 is -2. And -3 times -1 is +3 plus c. And that whole thing equals 0. Okay, now we're in business. We're just solving for c. 5 minus 7 is -2. Minus 2 is -4. Plus 3 is -1 plus c. And that equals 0. And of course, you don't even need to do this, but if you add 1 to both sides, we see that c equals +1. So that's what we were looking for. So just type 1 in the box. All right, select all polynomials that are divisible by x plus 3 and choose all answers that apply. Once again, if you are dividing by x plus 3, you want to plug in x equals -3. Okay, and if something is divisible by something, that means it divides evenly with a remainder of 0. So when you plug in -3, you should get 0. That's all we have to do on each of these choices. Plug in x equals -3, and whenever you get 0, you will choose that answer. So let's do that. You might need a calculator. All right, we're just plugging in -3, so a of x becomes a of -3. And that's going to be -3 to the third. Once again, use parentheses. And that's plus 4 times -3 squared. And that's minus 9. All right, -3 to the third is -27. -3 squared is 9 plus 4. I'm sorry, -3 squared is 9 times positive 4 is 36. And then minus 9. Let me see, -27 minus 9 is -36. Plus 36 is 0. That one checks out, and we will select answer A. And then we move on from there, doing the same thing. Answer B, let's do B of -3. We're just plugging in x equals -3. Use parentheses, that's -3 to the third. Minus -3 squared. Minus 18. Okay, -3 to the third is -27. -3 squared is positive 9, but it's minus that, so it's minus 9. And minus 18. Okay, these are all negatives, so it's definitely not 0. You don't even have to finish, but just for your information, this would be -54, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just doing this in my head. Okay, but these are all negatives, so there's no way it equals 0, so it's not answer B. All right, C of -3. That's going to be -3 to the third. Minus 6 times -3. Minus 9. All right, -3 to the third is -27. -6 times -3 is positive 18. And that's minus 9. Okay, again, I can see the negatives outweigh the positives. I believe this is -18, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I'm doing this in my head. But even if that's wrong, I can tell there's no way this is 0. So answer C is not the case. Finally, answer D. We're doing D of -3. So that's -3 to the third. Plus 3 times -3. Plus 3. All right, a lot of calculator work if you're not doing it in your head or manually. This again is -27. 3 times -3 is -9, and that's plus 3. Again, you don't even have to finish this if you know it's not 0. But just for your information, -6 and -27, that's -33. All right, you don't even have to finish it if you don't want it. As long as you know it's not 0, then you do not select that one. It's not going to divide evenly. So the only one where we got 0 was answer A. But some of them might have more than one answer. Just be aware of that. All right, I'll just do this one briefly. Find the value of C so that the polynomial P of X is divisible by X plus 2. So when we divide by X plus 2, we plug in -2. And we want to get a remainder of 0 because it's divisible by X plus 2. So plug in -2 and get 0. All right, so just plug in -2 wherever you see an X, set it equal to 0, and solve for C.